Hello and welcome. First of all, I'd like to welcome our live audience from around the world. Many of you are joining us from all over: Australia, Asia, the Middle East, Europe, North America. We're here to talk about we're here for the third series in My Conversations with the Mystic, and I'm here with Sadhguru, a yogi, a profound mystic, and my guru. I'm Chris Rado, owner and driver of World Racing. We're a professional motorsports team here in North America. We build and tune some of the fastest machines on 4 wheels. Many of you say, why is a guy like me here? Well, let me tell you, about 4 years ago, life looked so good on the outside, but on the inside, it wasn't so good. I was a professional racer struggling just to keep myself alive. You know, at the time I was racing about 27 events a year and struggling just to make it to each event, struggling day by day just to live. And, you know, I went to many doctors. I had many health problems that no doctor or hospital around the United States could figure out. And at a point, I was close to giving up. I had some very good friends that, you know, in a time of desperation and need, showed me a flyer of this thing called inner engineering. And at the time, I was very desperate, you know, struggling again, just to live day to day. You know, I'd be going to the hospital every 2 to 3 weeks by ambulance as my body's going into shock. And to me, that was no way to live. And at that time, I honestly didn't even believe I would live very long, because it was no way to live. 3-4 hours a day, debilitated every day. Once every 2 weeks, I'm on my way to the hospital. No way to live. So again, one day a friend brought me this flyer, inner engineering. And it just happened to have Sadhguru's picture on it. So me not knowing anything about yoga, meditation, or the spiritual process, but just struggling to live, I said, you know what? I need something, because what I'm doing is definitely not working. So I signed up for the program, not even knowing where exactly it was. I just knew that it was in Los Angeles. And at the time, this is where I was living. So I was really pleased once I got the email that the program's only 2 blocks from where I live. What are the odds of that? So I came and I sat in on the first day of the class, and I'll never forget, you know, I've never heard anybody say the type of things that Sadhguru was saying. At first I said to myself, it can't be this simple. Like, am I this much of a fool? I've been pretty successful in my career, and I thought in my life, but obviously the proof was in the pudding. You know, I was having a hard time getting out of bed, or even just, like I said, living. So, and again, I've never heard anybody say the things that he was saying. And something said, you know what, Chris? You need to listen to every single thing this man has to say and take it to heart, because you know what? Whatever you're doing is not working. So needless to say, I stayed for the program. It was a 6-day program at the time. And we were initiated into meditation on the 5th day. And on the 6th day, the program ended, and I went home. And, you know, everybody has their idea of what meditation should be like. And, of course, I had an idea, too, because, you know, 31-year-old race car driver that knows everything. Not the case. Well, the first day after the program, I woke up, and I didn't have the health problem that I normally had every single day. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I just got lucky, because every now and then I'd get lucky and I wouldn't get sick. Well, sure enough, the next day, I wasn't sick again. And another day, not sick again. So after a whole week of not having any health problems, I said, you know, what's going on here? And as a matter of fact, I've never had another health problem like I was having ever again. So at that time, I said, wow. First of all, I had no idea what had happened to me. No idea. I couldn't fathom what had happened to me, because I had tried everything. I tried changing my diet, exercising in different ways. You know, I probably had 70, 80 different tests from hospitals all over the United States over a period of about 5 years. To no avail, no success at all. This one program, 6 days, sitting with Sadhguru and him expounding upon life and teaching the inner engineering program, seemed to take all this away overnight. Needless to say, I was dumbfounded. And from that moment on, my life started to change. You know, that year, like I said, I struggled to do 27 events the year before that. That year, which was April 2007, That year, I did 57 events, effortlessly. I never had another health problem, and from that moment on, I said, okay, I'm on this fast track now, and I gotta find out more about what's going on here. How did these changes happen to me? What was done to me? What happened to me? And, you know, to this day, I'm still kind of boggled about that, Sadhguru, to be honest with you, you know. And, I mean, first of all, you know, I'd like to ask you, what did happen to me? Because I still don't know. I just know that all of a sudden, life seemed to get really easy, and I didn't have the problems that were holding me down every day, you know. And that's why ever since then, you know, I'll do whatever I can to help volunteering and be a part of the volunteer network. I mean, it's been such an honor to work with everybody at Isha and get involved in the different programs and whatnot. And I was hoping maybe you can tell me what really did happen to me, because I'd love to know.
As you just said, that you prepare and tune the fanciest machines on four wheels.
Yeah.
So the cars that you tune and drive, same cars are being driven by any number of people on the street. What they can do on the street and what the same car does on the racetrack, touching close to 200 miles per hour. For people who don't understand what that is, from other parts of the world, it's 340 to 350 kilometers per hour. So, to make a machine function like that, same machine, it's a certain level of tuning up, isn't it? So we just did a little tune-up on you.
Seems like it was a big tune-up, to be honest with you. Seems like it was a big tune-up, but I can't tell you how grateful I am, and you know, it's been a wild ride. It really has. Ever since then, I've been to your ashram in India. I've been to your center here in the U.S. I've been to Kailash. I've pretty much taken every program you offer, and just always thirsting for more, because this life keeps getting better now. And you know, here I thought I had everything figured out, and it turned out that I didn't have anything figured out. I just knew how to turn the circle a little bit and press the pedals. But even that wasn't going to get me anywhere, because I was flat out. My race car was out of tune. It was misfiring constantly, spitting out oil. So I can't tell you again how much of an honor it is to be here with you. And I know many other people are with us from around the world. And you know, I have some burning questions, and we're also going to take some questions from our audience that have been submitting them over the past 2 weeks. And if we have time at the end, we're even going to take some questions from a live audience. But first of all, I have to ask you, how was your experience today?
I was in a race car, all right, which can kick up almost 800 to 1,000 bhp and touch close to 200 miles per hour. But as I've always insisted that the most difficult thing to race with is yourself, not somebody else. To be able to take yourself to the limits, but never breaking up. That's the essence of life. One who saves himself never gets anywhere. One who crosses the limit, of course, gets somewhere, but he won't be here. To be able to get to the last point and still not flip over is the essence of life. Is the very essence of yoga too. But if you want to drive yourself to that last rev possible, highest rev possible, your machine should be good. You must keep this human mechanism, which is the most sophisticated machine, not your car, I know.
As I'm learning, as I've been learning.
All those gadgets, all those machines came out of this machine.
Yes.
It's just a small manifestation of this.
Yes.
So to keep this one tuned up, so that it can rev at the highest rev and still never flip over. is a certain understanding of the machine, first of all. The deeper your understanding, the better you do it. So today morning when I was driving, I initially decided, first of all, let me understand the track. I know machines on 4 wheels and 2 wheels, I've done enough of that in my life. So first of all, to understand the track, I was just trying to build it in my memory so that I don't have to think. And the next thing is, I've been in different types of machines, some of them racing ones, but I've never been in such a mean machine till now. That was a mean one.
Great, wonderful.
I don't think most people can imagine how much power a car can generate. I mean, they say it on the television and it goes vroom, vroom like an insect.
Right, they don't feel it.
They don't feel what it is.
Yes.
And how many things could go wrong in a moment?
Absolutely. Everything.
Yes, just about everything could go wrong because everything is being stretched to its maximum limits. So, that's my life all the time. So, you must have noticed that I was not excited because it's still not reaching any place where it would be exciting for me.
Just getting used to everything.
So, hitting some reasonable speeds, but even if I stretched it to 200 or 210 miles per hour, I would find it exhilarating, but not… I wouldn't be panting for it.
Right.
Because because my machine is tuned in such a way, it can take just about anything. If the car plunges into something and that's going to be the last plunge of my life, still this machine will handle itself till it's smashed up, okay? So because I've tuned my machines like that and kept, it takes everything well, it doesn't matter what it is. So this is the thing about everybody's life. They want to do many things. Now you want to win a race, you've been in racing as you were saying, but you cracking up.
All the time.
It doesn't matter what kind of racing machine you have, how much expertise you have, if this doesn't hold up, you're not going to win anything. Nobody wins anything. Success does not come to you because of your desire. Success comes to you because of your competence and your balance. That's something that most people don't work at. They think it will just happen. It doesn't happen like that.
I had to learn the hard way.
Naturally, by nature, different people are at different levels of competence and different levels of balance. But that's not the point. The point is not about whether you're better than somebody. The point is just about, are you able to use this one to its maximum rev? Can you drive this one at full rev? I'm driving better than you, that doesn't mean anything to me. Taking joy that somebody cannot drive properly and you looking at him and thinking you're a great driver is a silly way to think. But you driving at your limit, you know you're hitting the last point, you know if you push it one more point, that's the end of you.
Yeah.
But you keep it at that point, you have the balance to keep it at that point. You have the courage, you have the competence, and above all you have the balance, because when you reach that point, if somebody is doing little better than you, you think you can push it, and that's when life ends for most people. So to have that competence and courage, but not to be overwhelmed by your own competence and courage, not to become blind to the realities of the existence, to be able to be at that last point and never tip over, just stay there. If at all, if something bad happened, it happened because of some other factors, not because… many other factors are involved, it's not just you. There's so many things, the machine, the road, somebody else may come in and so many things may happen. So because of those things, if something happens, it's different. But because you don't have the balance to stay there, you don't have a realistic picture of who you are and where your competence is, that would be a disastrous way for any human being, whether it's racing or living life or people's emotions or, whatever one may do in their life. So people who keep in their safety limit, who drive at 40 kilometers per hour and they think they are safe. I'm not just talking about the cars, I'm saying life itself.
Absolutely.
They drive in an extremely safe band. You never know the beauty of stretching yourself to the limits, because the whole system of what you're referring to as spiritual process or yoga is to be able to sit here and raise yourself above the physicality of who you are. When I say physicality, physicality is your limitations. What you call as a physical is a bundle of defined limitations. Just sitting here and crossing that is yoga. Just sitting here and being able to be beyond that is what we are referring to as spiritual process. Something beyond the physical has become a living reality for you. So when you race, when you do various other adventure sports, or when people live on the edge in so many different ways, what they're trying to is have a taste of coming close to the border. Those who cross the border, you don't see them because they're gone. So spiritual process gives you the freedom, because you're crossing the limitations of your physicality, not through physical action, simply by your conscious, simply by your conscious will, that you're crossing the physical limits. This is something you can race all the time, safely. So I'm all the time on a race, constantly beyond the physical limitations. But if you try this physically, then you should not cross the limitation, you can hit the border. But if you cross the border, that means you lose your body.
I think that's where…
Yes, that's what was happening to you.
I was always riding that…
Trying to stick to the line and go a little beyond. You know, one of the great
Tip
racers…
two cars over the edge, but…
One of the great racers of our time, Kenny Roberts, said, when people asked him, how come you every time you manage to win 5 times world championship or something like that? He said, I go out of control with control. But that last word is the most important word. I go out of control, but with control. I go out of control. No control means he's gone. So you're trying to do it physically. There's excitement in it, but there is limitation. You will never cross the limit. If you cross the limit, it's over. But the spiritual process is such that you can cross the limit all the time. There's no limit, because you're crossing the limitations of the physical without physical activity. So if you learn to do this, you will see the border of the physicality can be stretched and stretched and stretched in many different ways. Instead of doing a week-long program, if you had… when you were 14, if you had come to me and done 6-year program instead of 6 days program, okay? Now, your ability to push this to a different level, you push your ability to push your car to a different level and yourself to a different level would be very, very big. Because right now, the car may not give up yet, but your system gives up.
Right.
The mental, psychological system, physical system, the energy system above all takes the maximum beating at high speed.
And I'll be honest, January, February of '07, before I did the program, I was giving up. My body was giving up, and I was at a point where mentally and emotionally, I was getting ready to give up totally and say, you know what, this isn't living. And I just can't express how grateful I am for all you've done.
Don't be grateful, just win a race.
I can handle that. We'll do that the best that we can. So, again, I'm sure that a lot of people have many questions, but is there anything that you'd like to say to the audience before we answer some of their questions, or?
I'm sure naturally the questions will be, why is Sadhguru on the racetrack? So I want them to know that Sadhguru is not on the racetrack today, he's on the racetrack every day.
There we go, yeah.
Every moment of my life, I'm on the racetrack. Not racing with anybody, but definitely at full throttle, with every aspect of my life. It's not just this or that. Probably, for many people, it may look, because they have certain ideas that a spiritual person means he must be staid, okay? So, if you have to be peaceful and joyful and blissful, if it is necessary that you must walk slowly, you can't meet people, you can't do anything in the world, you can only sit in a cave and be peaceful, obviously your peacefulness is extremely fragile. My peace, my blissfulness, my love is not fragile. If you take me to hell, I'll still be like this. It's not fragile. So I can continuously put myself into all kinds of activity, and nothing of my qualities, who I am, is not threatened at any moment. So, it doesn't matter if I'm driving at 100 miles per hour, 200 miles per hour. I'm still… You could have actually… it should have been good actually if we had checked my pulse rate and my everything. I was just very normal. I heard you panting.
In the beginning, I was so nervous that the car was not going to be right. I said, oh, please. With all the problems that we had last night, you know, I told you how we blew up an engine yesterday in testing, and then we ripped another engine out of something last night, and we're cannibalizing cars left and right because I really wanted to try to make sure we had the right experience today. And I'll be honest with you, I was nervous when we first got in the car.
So we should have checked my pulse rate, heart rate, blood pressure, everything. Before and after driving at 200 miles per hour, I would be just about the same except for the physical shake-up that happens.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I can't tell you, I really enjoyed that today. It's the first time I ever sat in the passenger seat of my own race car, and I gotta say that sitting in the passenger seat of your race car with your guru is something that I don't think many people have done.
No.
So, I'm a very fortunate individual on many levels. But, and you know, you said it, we're here to talk about life at full throttle, and I know many people have some questions, so if you guys like, fire away.
I must tell you about my throttle experience. You know.
Oh, yeah, please.
During my motorcycling days, when I was just traveling across, one day it happened, I was, from Mysore I was riding up to a place called Ooty. I don't know if you've been there, it's a hill station.
No.
And then my motorcycle just, you know, it wouldn't throttle up. It's like, if you throttle up, it gets off. It floods and gets off.
Wasn't a Toyota?
No, it's a motorcycle.
That's a joke.
So, normally you check the fuel system and then the electricals, because if you start, the motorcycle starts, if you throttle up, it gets off. So I checked everything. I opened up the carburetor, you know, these are old Czech bikes, the Czechoslovakian bikes. Nothing. Then there was a farm close by, and I went and made friends with them, and because it was getting late in the evening, it's a wild country, it's like elephant and tiger country, that place. So my wife was also riding with me at that time, and so we went into this farm and we said the motorcycle problem. So that guy also was a motorcycle enthusiast, and we went in and we stripped down the whole thing, checked this, checked that, everything. Nothing, everything is proper. Then they said maybe the alternator is not charging properly, and we took it back and got it charged and brought back 24 hours it took to do that. Whatever we did, it didn't start. And after 1.5 days of looking at just about everything in the bike, we discovered these bikes used to have like a brass needle for the throttle, you know. When you throttle up, the needle comes up and goes down. And the top of the brass needle has a pin which is held by the throttle wire. And that pin has gotten cut. So, and then we discovered after 1.5 days of literally scanning the whole bike that the pin is cut, everything else is fine. How does the pin get cut? Then some crazy thing, that there must be a fault in the, you know, the pin, something it must have broken.
It failed.
Yeah. It's a part, you know, a certain metallurgical failure or something, but it's not something that sees any stress. It just has to go up to allow the gas and go down when you cut the throttle, that's all. Then this happened to me 4 times in the next 2 years. I was the only guy that inside my headlamp I would always have 2 brass pins. Spares, because I over throttle all the time. I hold up the throttle at the full and I'm not happy the way it's going, and I want to throttle more, and I'm cutting the throttle pin. That's more than full throttle, isn't it?
That's why they were braking.
I was stretching it beyond its thing all the time.
That's lovely. Hey, that's a great problem to have. And you know, it's funny because that's the kind of stuff that happens to us all the time. Not that kind of problem, but you know.
In those times, I always thought, I want to ride something, I want to drive something that I can't handle. Today, I think I was close to that.
You handled it pretty good. You handled it, and especially for your first time. There's only been one other person that's driven that car, and they are a 15-year veteran professional race car driver, and they got out of the car saying it's absolutely the fastest thing they've ever driven, and quite scared of it. So, you did fantastic. It was pretty awesome.
First time I was handling a machine that like a brute, I couldn't handle it yet.
It was exciting to watch, you know, even over the first couple laps, it was very clear that, you know, you were meticulously picking away at every little detail, because there's so many things going on in the car.
Yeah.
Not just the car, but the car, the track, there's so many different things that are happening.
No, as the speed levels cross, the number of forces working upon the machine are just changing. It's a dramatic shift. Most people may not realize you driving at 80 miles per hour, you could do so many things and nothing happens. You just do 120 and over, suddenly the dynamics are different. You cross 160, 170 and suddenly the dynamics are very, very different.
And you better do exactly what has to happen there, right?
So, I mean, I would have needed much more time, probably to push that machine to its fullest and be able to handle it totally. So it was good that I was driving something that I can't handle. Always I'm disappointed with the cars that I'm driving, however big they are, however powerful they are. I can handle them effortlessly. So this was a machine that I was struggling to handle.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I'll tell you what, luckily, I know a guy that's always got a race car that's ready, so if you need to get back in, and you always know where to go. So.
What are the questions?
Okay. First question. First question is, if by doing meditation I become peaceful, satisfied, won't I lose my hunger to do something worthwhile? If I become loving towards all, won't I lose my competitive edge in the world?
So you better tell the daredevil what's happened to you.
Wow. Wow. Well, I can definitely say that life has changed a lot for sure. And I can't say that, I've lost my competitive edge at all. I must say that now, see, before when I was at the racetrack and things would happen, somebody would say something, somebody would do something, it would almost take me off my game at times. And I would end up sometimes doing something silly or making a mistake that I shouldn't have made just because I let somebody or something get to me. Ever since I've done the program, it seems like these things that people would always do that would really get to me and bother me or make me react, I'd be in a state of constantly reacting to this or that. It seems like now I've had a certain distance, It's so funny because even a month after I did the program, people were saying to me in the racing world, Chris, what's gotten into you? Like, is this the same person that we've known for the last 7 years? Like, normally, this or this would happen and I'd fly off the handle and, rah, 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 rah. And now, it seemed like whenever...
Only the engine should roar, not you.
Exactly. And it was always me roaring before. So, to answer your question, I definitely haven't lost my competitive edge. If anything, it makes me that much hungrier to go faster, to do the things that I know that my team and I, and things that other people haven't done, but where there's a will, there's a way. And as long as we always keep our cool and do whatever is needed, we've never won more races and been more consistently fast at every racetrack. Ever since I've taken the program, last season I won 12 races. I won all but one race that we competed in the 2009 season. In the 2010 season, we had 7 victories. In the 2008 season, we had 10 victories, and we've set almost 18 track records in that time. And before, things like this just wouldn't happen. There would always be something that would catch us here or catch us there, or or should I say something that would catch me, and I'd get caught in this trap? But now it's like, you gave me some Teflon or something, so I can slide through these things and come out kind of okay with no matter what happens. So it's after becoming meditative, everything around me has just gotten much, much easier, and it's opened my life up to joy and in a way that I never thought I would have. You know, I always thought happiness had to come from, you know, winning a race or us getting a sponsor or something good on in the physical world happening to me. Now that joy comes from within inside, and it makes it a lot easier. It makes it effortless to do the things that I need to do, even though we might be awake for days straight doing this, traveling, doing stuff that other people think, this is crazy. This is just life, and we're taking it. Now it's like, before, you know, we're always on the rev limiter. Yeah, we might be at full throttle right now, but we're taking it nice and easy, and it feels really good.
Now, to be successful in racing, you need hot wheels but a cool driver.
Absolutely. You know, if people can razzle you, you're going to be off your game. And if you're off your game at the wrong split second, disaster can strike, you know?
So this is something that a lot of people fail to understand throughout their life. When it comes to external realities, every human being is differently capable, okay? However hard you try, you are not going to be better than yourself. So the only thing is, you should be able to perform at your best, whatever you're doing, whether it's racing or life or whatever else. If you want to perform at your best, today there is substantial medical and scientific proof to show you that if you can keep yourself utterly pleasant, if you can keep yourself blissful, loving, ecstatic within yourself, your chemistry functions at its best. Obviously, that's the reason why the experience is good. Your mechanical systems in the body functions at its best, your brain, your intelligence functions at its best. There is substantial scientific and medical evidence to prove this. So you drive well on a certain day, not because you want to win a race, because your system is functioning well. People think they have to pump adrenaline into their system, get excited and drive, and somehow manage to win. I would say, if you just look at all the machines, if some of the machine is better than what we're driving, that's a different thing. If they're equally paced and you look at people, before you start off, you should know anyway you're going to win, because you know what this machine can do or cannot do. Or before you start off, you know anyway you can't do it because today somebody is anyway better than you, you know.
You know, a very classic example of that, in the late '90s, they were doing testing on the NASCAR drivers, and they were checking heart rates and things of the sort in the morning before the race. And always, consistently,
Dale already done that. Okay, that's good.
Dale Earnhardt Sr. consistently was always calm and cool as a cucumber. Was always had the lowest heart rate, had low blood pressure. I mean, he always was the calmest and coolest, and it showed, because you know what? He was in my eyes, he's the best NASCAR driver that ever lived. You know, and that should speak volumes of it, and that's why they called him the Intimidator, because nothing got him. You know, he was always like this, and because of that,
you can only drive to your limitations. You cannot drive like somebody else. That's so with everything in your life. So instead of seeing how to explore the full potential of what this is, you're trying to ape somebody else. That could be disastrous, you know.
Yeah.
And above all, lower your own performance.
Yes. You know, and you also mentioned that, you know, when you become meditative and these things start to balance out in your life, how everything in your system starts to work better. And again, that's another clear example of exactly what happened to me. You know, I was struggling just to maintain my weight before. I mean, I was eating all sorts of food, and for some reason I was I was forcing myself to eat food, and I was eating a lot of food, but I was struggling to maintain my weight, and I would need to sleep 8 to 12 hours a day. I mean, I could not get out of bed unless I had to be at the racetrack before 11, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. I mean, it was...
Half the day's over by then.
Yeah, sometimes 2 o'clock. And, you know, after doing the program, I found out that, you know, within 2 months' time, the amount of food I was eating dropped considerably, but instantaneously, my weight went up right away. I could maintain my weight. My sleep quota went, I mean, skyrocketed down. I went from, you know, 10 to 12 hours a day to 4 to 6 hours. And I just kept saying, you know, this is too good to be true. Like, I wanted to get on the top of the tallest mountain and scream, like, I know some of you are suffering out there. Please, come do this. Please, you know, look at me. Please learn from my experiences. Learn from the pain that I went through, the suffering. Like, nobody should suffer, you know, especially like I was suffering. And, you know, the amount of change I went through in 4 months was enough that I felt that everybody should have a piece of this. And whatever I can do to help bring a piece of this, I will do it, you know. And it's just been great being here.
So, the best tuned machines are done by me, not by you.
That's what I'm hearing. For sure. For sure. Well, do we want to go to the next question? Okay. How does one decide between risking one's life for thrills and playing it safe for family and other obligations?
That's yours.
Oh, wow. Well, you know, there's definitely a line between risking one's life and doing things for thrills. Obviously, anytime you get in any type of vehicle or even cross the street, you're risking your life. Let's face it. 9 times out of 10, it's much, much safer to be sitting in a race car than it is your street car.
Definitely.
So, you know, a lot of people that think, oh, these guys that race these cars, they're crazy, they're risking their life. We're all risking our life. You know, it's fleeting out of all of us every day. So, you know, the last thing...
People have died sneezing.
Absolutely. People have died, you know. So I look at it like this. And I don't know very much, and you know that, because I'm Italian, you know. We're always risking our life. The question is, are you willing to sit back and not do anything with your life and just sit back and play safe? Because if you are, how much of life are you really enjoying? Are you saving yourself for tomorrow, and then tomorrow are you saving yourself for the next day? Because if that happens, one day you're going to wind up dead and have never done anything. And then you're going to say to yourself, well, I've played it safe my whole life, and I'm miserable, and I've never done anything. Then the suffering is, you know, you're not going to be very happy. On the other hand, if you go out and ride wheelies all day and do things above and beyond that are, let's face it, can be flat out stupid, you know, you have to understand there is a fine line in racing and doing anything between doing something, going overboard, or playing it safe. And neither one will get you anywhere, I don't think. Sure, you most always stay alive if you play it safe, but are you alive if you're really dead in your living body? So, you know, I like to pick a nice balance in between. Now, granted, I've always kind of been on the risk-taking side, but in my eyes, I'm not taking risks. I'm living my life every second of it. And people just have to determine what it is that is most important to them in their life. You know, if family is the most important thing to you, then I would say yes, stay home, or not necessarily stay home, but do things with your family. Live your life to the fullest with your family. Do as much as you can do without necessarily putting their life in jeopardy. But staying home with the family and not doing anything, are you really living there too? Or are you just trapped, you know? So that's how I look at it.
That reminds me, I've been driving last 5 years from Kathmandu to Kailash in the most incredible terrain. Anybody who wants to drive off-road, it's a driver's dream, that kind of terrain. So this time we took certain members of the press with us, some of the prominent English press in India. So this lady who drove with me, And she picked up the microphone after she got off and she said, "Oh, he drives like a maniac." I said, not one moment did you see me frothing? Did you see… Did you see me excited? Or as I sit in a satsang, I'm sitting in the car and driving, all right, I'm pushing it at full throttle, but not like a maniac. So you don't understand the difference between mania and skillfulness of life. So one who has no skill about anything, he will think everything… Walking is a risk, on two legs to walk, it's such a risky thing.
You could fall.
Yes, you could fall and die, so many people have. So, risk is something only for the beholder, it's a risk. For one who is doing it, it is a calculated effort to do something in a certain way. So if you're just trying to race on a regular street and risking not just you, risking other people's lives, you have no business to do that. But what is considered risk by other people is actually a calculated way of life, that you make the necessary calculations and shoot for that. Well, if you miss, what will happen? Well, you may not die racing, but you may be in the spectator stand and some other driver may kill you, driving straight into the spectator stand. So this is not about risk-taking, and above all, suppose you played it so safe that you did not leave your couch and you did not leave your potato chips. Would your family like it?
I don't think so.
You took risks, you achieved something, whatever happens, your family always appreciates it. But you did nothing because you want to fulfill your obligations and want to be safe for them. I don't think they will appreciate it. No family will, because they would be ashamed of you because you did nothing in your life. So I'm not just saying everybody has to go and race a racing machine, but the way you live, if you did not stretch yourself to your limits in your job, in your ability to do things, whether you're playing a game or in your mind, in your emotion, in your body, if you did not show the full potential of who you are, I don't think your family would be hugely obligated to you or proud of you or would even want to remember you. Very easily they'll forget you.
He's boring.
Yes. No, I'm not saying this is for glory. I don't see racing or living life the way I live. I do not bother about what somebody else is thinking. Actually, when I was young, I had opportunities to go into competitive sports, but I participated on a sidetrack but never went into the competition because somehow I didn't like that whole atmosphere of people desperately wanting to win and some people crying because they did not win. I just thought, for me it was just, stretching myself to the limit was the only fun. For me, entering the podium and everybody clapping their hands didn't mean anything at any time, nor does it mean anything to me even today. I feel if any human being arrives at a certain state within himself, where for him to be joyful, to be blissful, to be loving, he is not dependent on anything outside. If he arrives at that place, every human being will become like this. What it means is, today morning, when we got into this machine, just flip the 3 switches and touch it, boom, it roars. Suppose it doesn't roar, you do many things. If it doesn't at all, then it needs to be pushed. It needs to be pushed and started. So if the racing machine is pushed off the track and started, there is no great harm. But if your joy needs a constant outside push, if your love needs a constant outside push, everything that's beautiful in you is on a push start, that's a bad way to live. I would say everything that's beautiful about a human being should be on self-start. For you to sit here and be ecstatic, it should be self-start. If you wish right now, tears of ecstasy should flow out of you. That's how it should be. So if it's all on push start, then there is a certain enslavement in the whole process. So that enslavement is what you're trying to say, my family will like it. Your family will not like it. No human being appreciates it. Even your family will sit and watch somebody else's racing on the television.
Yes.
They won't sit and watch you sitting on the couch, eating potato chips and getting big. They're not going to sit and watch this with, with excitement. They're also going to look at the television, you're also going to look at the television. Somebody else living their life to the fullest. It's time. It's not necessary that every human being has to go on a racetrack or jump off an airplane or do something. Different people have different competence, different types of competence and different types of inclinations. Whatever is your inclination, whether you're just pushing paper in an office or you're just running a simple family, even there's opportunity to take yourself to full rev. In a simple family life of husband, wife and 2 children or 1 child or no child, whatever, even there every day, every moment there is an opportunity to live your life either full throttle or engine switched off because it's safe. No, you must live full throttle. Full throttle need not necessarily mean being in a racing machine.
I can honestly…
You get that?
Yeah, I get that. I think we're going to take a quick break, and I think they're going to show the trailer one more time real quick.
Okay. I would like to see that.
Chris, how have people in your life reacted to your spiritual path? Is it something that you openly convey or only communicate if asked directly? I know most Eastern spiritual traditions don't proselytize, but how can we help others otherwise? Well, first and foremost, I'm very open about the practices that I do and the spiritual process. It's not something that as soon as I meet somebody, I'm like…
You got Isha logo on the car.
Yeah. I got a stamper, but don't… No, it's not something that I, jump right out and tell them right away, but, it's changed me so much in many ways, and in a lot of ways, I'm still the same person, but…
Did anybody ask you, does Isha make the clutch plates or the brake pads or
Yeah, people say, what is this Isha Technologies? What is this, And then I'm like, well…
You should say it's the throttle of my car.
Yeah, it's the heart, it's the engine. It's the engine it's what makes the car roar. How about that? So, in response to the question, my family has been great. Ever since these things started happening to me, my family has accepted it with open arms. At first, coming from an Italian Roman Catholic tradition, everybody goes to church every Sunday and, all the holidays, and I always did my whole life, and I went to Catholic school and CCD, all those things. So for them to accept right away that, I'm doing something that's different, it has nothing to do with my religion because, obviously I'm still Roman Catholic and whatnot, but, at first, I think it was kind of hard for them because they didn't really know what it was. Where I grew up, I never even heard the word spiritual process till after I went to the inner engineering program. I didn't even know there was such a thing. I heard of people that were spiritual, but all I thought that was they were religious. I didn't know there was any such thing as the spiritual process. I didn't know what it was. So I think at first it was a bit of a challenge for them to kind of wrap their head around it. But shortly after, 6-8 months after I did the program, and they saw all the changes that were happening within me and my health skyrocket, the acceptance came really fast. And really fast they said, where's that inner engineering program again? And maybe we're interested in signing up because, they wanted a little bit of what was happening to me. So, after that, Both my parents have done the engineering program with you, and 3 of my 4 sisters. It's been a wonderful ride, I must say that. And a lot of people that say I haven't seen in a long time, that the second they see me now, right away, they're like, something's different about you. And at first they can't put their finger on it, but they'll come back and say, we've never seen you calm like this. Like, I was always...
Oh, they call this calm?
This is calm. That's the scary part. This is calm. I was always running 1,000,000 miles a minute, always. And now the fact that I can even sit kind of still is unbelievable to them. The fact that I can, sit in one place and not want to go nuts it's a miracle. So I can't speak for cultures around the. I can only speak from my experience, and my experience is, it hasn't been hard at all. Sure, at first, people that don't understand what's happening with me are they're a little taken back because they have their own ideas. They don't really know, and it's perfectly understandable. But the second you spend some time and see that, wow, I'm really okay with whatever is happening, and it allows me to live my life very effortlessly, it's not going to be very long until you want a piece of it too. So, I mean, that's just how I look at it. I'm very open with my practice and my system.
I would like to correct the question itself, because now when you say Eastern spiritual traditions, you have a certain idea about it. We do not know what this person is exposed to. This is not a tradition. This is not a philosophy. This is not an ideology. This is not a teaching either. This is a technology. Nobody can be for any technology or against any technology. You can only use it. You don't have to take vows by it, nor do you have to be against it. Nobody needs to be for or against it. You just have to learn to use it. Even with technology, people take this attitude with a certain level of immaturity. Now there are 2 religions in America, the apple and the blackberry. Just technologies.
Yes.
It's a question of what's suitable for your life, and you use that technology. But now you could make this into a religion of your own. People are,
Yeah.
very excited about these things.
I love my apple too.
So, your apple, I'm blackberry.
I know.
Now I think apple is too fanciful, blackberry is just work. You think without the half-eaten apple you cannot exist, okay? So this need not be there. A technology is just technology. For what work you're doing, is this technology useful? Now, whatever work you may be doing, if there is a technology to keep you peaceful, joyful, blissful, pleasant within yourself on all levels. When I say pleasantness, see, if you become pleasant in your body, we call this health, which you are experiencing. If you become very pleasant, we call this pleasure. Nothing to be done from outside. It's just in dripping with pleasure, simplicity here. If you become pleasant in your mind, we call this peace. If it becomes very pleasant, we call this joy. If you become pleasant in your emotions, we call this love. If you become very pleasant, we call it compassion. If you become pleasant in your very life energies become pleasant, we call this blissfulness. If it becomes very pleasant, we call it ecstasy. So, this is what every human being is looking for. He wants to be pleasant on the inside, and he wants pleasantness on the outside. If your outside becomes pleasant, that's called success. This is all anybody is looking for all the time.
It's true.
It doesn't matter which religion you belong to, which culture you belong to, where you come from, whether you come from North America or North Pole. Everybody wants this, isn't it?
Yes.
Whether you are from Arizona or you're an Eskimo, you still want it.
Yes.
Your ideas of success may be different, but the experience of success is not different, isn't it?
No.
Whether You went and won a race in a record-breaking time and went and stood on the podium, what experience you have. And two kids are running and, just on the street and he ran faster than the other, what experience? It's not different. It's not different at all. It's just you are relating your experience too much to other people's appreciation, which is a wrong way to live. If the whole world says this, it should make a difference. If the whole world says this, it should make a difference. If you are living at your full level of pleasantness possible within you, full level of competence, you are exploring all the time, and everything that's possible, you are on full throttle. If you are, you will see whether somebody does this to you or this to you makes no difference. So now, stop calling this Eastern or Western. Technology is neither Eastern nor Western. Technology is just that which works. So that you don't have any doubt about this, that's why I labeled it as inner engineering. Engineering means doing things the way it works. You want your car to be well engineered, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But what about yourself? Is it not very important that I am well engineered within myself, so at least I am happening the way I want myself to be? We want to engineer something because we want it to have it the way we want it. So before you have anything in this world the way you want it, the most important thing is that you have this one the way you want it.
Yes.
If this one thing is not the way you want it, nothing is ever going to be nice for you. So, this is just a technology, and technology can be easily spoken to, can be conveyed even technologically, through technological means, which we are doing online these days. So whatever your culture may be, whatever your religion may be, you can still use a cell phone. Okay, we are divided on the brand, but
I won't hold it against you, though. I promise.
So, whatever it may be, we can still use it if you learn to use it. So whatever your religion may be, whatever your culture may be, whatever your belief systems may be, you can still learn to use this gadget. This is the gadget, please know this. This is the most sophisticated gadget on the planet. If you learn to use it, life will become incredible. Beyond all your wildest imaginations, life will become so absolutely incredible. If you just know where the keyboard is for this one.
Or the starter.
I think they have a starter. Don't tell me they didn't get started.
What if they can't find the pedals?
Yes.
That's a problem.
They don't know where the throttle is.
That's the problem. Hopefully the shift linkage is working, too.
Okay, today I broke the shift linkage, I'm sorry.
That's okay. These things happen, We go out and we race a car hard and,
No, that's because I raced it hard. It was fragile.
Maybe I weakened it, I weakened it before. Okay. This question is for you, Sadhguru. Sadhguru, I would like to have an experience like you had in Chamundi Hills. And afterwards, I want to experience the utmost pleasantness within myself, as you say. I would like to be enlightened. What can I do to bring that process about? Wow.
Who wouldn't want the fruit?
Who wouldn't want the fruit?
Who would not want the fruit? No, I'm not talking about apples. Everybody would want the fruit of life, isn't it?
Yes.
However you perceive it, different people perceive this in different ways. Now, he's understanding the fruit of life as enlightenment.
Yes.
You may understand it as victory, somebody else may understand it as money, somebody else may understand it as love. It doesn't matter. What is, how you perceive the fruit. But is there somebody who does not want the fruit of life? Everybody wants the fruit of life. So if you want the fruit, the most important thing is that you never bother about the fruit. You just nurture the root. That's how the fruit happens. It's the root, not the fruit.
Right.
If you just pay attention to the root, what it needs, fruit will invariably come. Nobody can deceive you from that. But you don't nurture the root. you're too focused on the fruit. These days we are saying we're goal-oriented societies.
Yes.
So we're only dreaming of things, they will not come. I know there are people going about saying, don't do anything, just wish and it'll manifest. Okay? This dream can be sold only to those who are not successful in their life. This dream can never be sold to the successful, because people who are successful in whatever they're doing, they clearly know that if they do not nurture the roots of their life, no fruit will come.
Yes.
It's a simple farmer, to a racer, to a scientist, to a yogi, everybody knows this.
Yes.
Only somebody who's done nothing with their life believe that without nurturing the root, you can have a fruit. Yes, you can steal from your neighbor's garden, but you can't do that every day,
Or you'll get caught someday.
But you can't do it every day, and it's always going to be a desperate life. The joy of producing lot of fruit, you eating it and distributing it all over is different. You trying to steal one fruit from somebody else is a very different experience. Even if you manage to steal every day, it's a very different experience of life. You will not know the joy of the fruit. You will have the fruit in your hand, but you will not know the joy of the fruit, isn't it? So essentially, I want you to understand, when you say enlightenment, you're talking about the ultimate fruit of life. And you're also mentioning, and not only that and what happened afterward, but you're not interested in what happened before. The process that I went through before that, not interested. You're only interested in the harvest. Don't be interested in the harvest so much. Yes, harvest is important in the end, but you don't have to bother about the harvest if you take care of the cultivation and planting and seeding and everything properly. Harvest will come. Why will it not come? So you must have been asking, the question you should have been asking, Sadhguru, what did you do so that such a miraculous thing happened to you on Chamundi Hill? No, you're asking all the things that happened afterward are too fantastic. How can I get it? All right, that's how you look at it, it's fine. But I want you to know this. This is one thing you can do. One simple thing you can do is just this. This is the only thing I did in my life. One thing is, when I was 3-4 years of age, I clearly realized that I know nothing about life, which is a fact even today for everybody, You actually know nothing.
I only realized it a couple of years ago.
No, not only in that sense, I'm going much further. When you say life, you know this body, you know many things to the extent as to how to use it. See, we know how to use an atom today, but do you actually know what's an atom? Nobody knows fully, absolutely what an atom is. Nobody really knows it. But we have learned how to use it. Similarly, many things, whether it's water or air or earth or anything, we have learned to use it. Our knowledge is only that far, but you do not know what it is. You can make fruits come out of something simply out of your whim and fancy, only when you know what it is. You may know how to use this right now, but you do not know what this is. You have taken too many inputs from too many people. Too many people have been teaching you things that they themselves do not know. So, one thing that I realized was I do not know anything. Another thing is, because I could clearly see everybody around me also did not know anything, but they were going around with authority, as if they know it. So I did not take any input. So I keep joking with people. The only thing that I have done to get here is, I remained uneducated. And that's not a simple thing. Because from the day you're born, everybody is trying to educate you about things which have not worked in their life. Just do these two things. What's his name? Chris?
Chris.
Just do these two things, Chris, that you see that you actually know nothing about anything in this existence, including yourself. And Don't take in other people's opinions, ideas, philosophies, nothing. Your culture, your religion, your people, your family, your genetics, all this influence, you learn to keep it aside and just pay attention to life process. If you keep your intelligence unentangled, if you keep the process of your intellect completely unentangled in culture or religion or ideology or dogma or any kind of belief or any kind of thing, if you keep your intelligence absolutely unentangled, in any way encumbered with anything, the very nature of human intelligence is that it will naturally take you towards enlightenment. Which human being, if he does not assume things, which human being can avoid simple questions about life, fundamental questions about life? Okay, where did I come from? Where will I go? What is the nature of my existence? Who can avoid this? For all these things you have ready-made answers that somebody else told you. You read a book, somebody said something, or you just cooked up your own belief system. Don't assume anything. Just simply make the question profound enough. If the question sinks deep enough, the answer is right there. And now, for example, for all the wrong reasons, I learned yoga at the age of 10 or 11 years of age. It happened like this. Even then I was looking for excitement, and when we go to my grandfather's place, in the backyard there's a well which is about 6 to 8 feet in diameter and goes about 150 feet down. We are always there in summer, so it's at least down by 60 to 70 feet drop. So one of the sport for us is, for the kids, we jump into this well. You have to go straight like a racing machine, okay? If you go like this, your brains will become a smear on the wall. And to come up, you go and hit the water at a certain speed, and coming up, there is no ladder, there is no any kind of footholds, nothing, you just have to hold the rock and come. By the time you come, the sheer pressure of it, all your fingernails will be bleeding, just the pressure of holding on to it, and all your knees are scraped and everything. So we want to do it. And I'm pretty good at it. One day we were doing this, and an old man over 70 years of age came by. He was just watching us. We ignored, he's too old to be noticed, you know. Like people think about me now. And he just went and jumped into the well. I thought, this is it, he's finished. But to my amazement, he came up faster than me. Suppose today I drove faster than you, you would… So that's what happened to me.
I'd hand you the helmet.
So he came up faster than me. So I kept my pride aside and asked, okay, how? He said, come and do yoga. So I followed him. He taught me some simple yogic practices. At the age of 11, I was just about 11 at that time, I started. Till I was 25 years of age. Without a single day's break, I did it. I had no spiritual inclinations. My only thing is, physically, mentally, I want to excel, I want to be somewhere. So, it definitely set me apart, both physically and mentally. In any group of people, it set me apart, no doubt. The yogic practices did that to me. I never imagined there's another dimension to it. So whatever this Chamundi Hill experience is, that's what, that was a surprise for me. There's something else packed into it. Now I'm talking to you about all these things, there's something else in it. I'm talking about the fruit too much these days because you guys won't get started unless there's a fruit. And that day I went in to yoga only because this old man could climb up the well faster than me. And it just freaked me. I had to do it. So, why I'm telling you this is, even if you get into something for wrong reasons, but if you do the right thing, it still works. That's how this universe works. It is not your intention. It is, are you doing the right thing or no? So you want to get the fruit of life, that's not going to get you the fruit. Are you doing the right things about it? These two right things you implement. And anyway, you're talking about all this, so probably you're initiated already. So, you keep up the practice and just clearly observe every bit of life around you. A leaf, a flower, your little finger. Look at this pen, watch this little finger for 8 hours, let me see. And see, what do you know about this? You don't know a single cell in the body properly. Pay attention. Once you realize that I do not know, you will invariably pay attention. If human consciousness pays enough attention, there is nothing in the universe which cannot yield. Everything in the universe has to yield, and it will yield. Even the Creator will yield, if you pay enough attention. That is the power of human consciousness. It is just that it needs to be held in attention. It is sleepy and drowsy, then it looks like it can do nothing. You just hold it in attention, it can do things that you have never ever thought was possible. It can open the whole cosmos for you.
All right. Dear Sadhguru, on one hand, the involvement and participation of people in spiritual matters is enormous now. On the other, negative aspects such as corruption, violence, etc., are also rising. Why this conflict, and how can individuals contribute positively?
Oh, that's from Chennai. Spiritual awareness is, yes, definitely it's more alive than it's been in the last century, I would say, which is a good sign. But a lot of people are getting into spiritual process like you, that they break up and to fix themselves, they get into spiritual process. Okay, they somehow got into it, it's fine, but still people are waiting for something to go wrong in their life. I want you to understand it this way. Spiritual process essentially means to know this one, to know this piece of life absolutely. If you want to drive your machine, well, the more you know about it, the better off you are, isn't it?
Yes.
Otherwise, you don't have to go to the garage. Let them build a car, you just take it in the racetrack and swing it. It's not going to work like that.
No.
You just have to know what's gone into it. You just have to know as much as possible about the machine. That's when you can drive it well. If that is so with a car, if that's so with your cell phone, is this not true with this gadget?
Yes.
The more you know about it, the better. So spiritual process is not something that you start at the end of your life when you're no good for anything, or when something has gone wrong. This is something that must begin at the beginning of your life. Before you step into active life, there must be a spiritual process in everybody's life. This is how it used to be in India, just a few generations ago. But for whatever reasons, that's been broken now, and people go into it after things have gone wrong with themselves. Life should begin with spiritual process. Why people think spiritual process is the end of life is because they have a completely negative image of what a spiritual process is. Like the first question indicated,
yes.
If you turn spiritual, you will become no good for anything. No, you will be good for just about anything. If you turn spiritual, you will be good for just about anything in the world and beyond, I'm telling you. So, spiritual process definitely is on the rise, that's a good thing. Corruption is on the rise, it's always been there. It is just that today there is more money to be made. Earlier they were doing petty levels of corruption, today they're doing mega-sized corruption in the
technology.
World, and particularly in India where he's talking from. Because everything is happening on a larger scale. It is not that people have not been stealing money from each other in the past. They were doing it then also. But the volumes were small, so you didn't see it as very big. Now the volumes have become so big. To handle this much volume, no more individual people can be handling those things. We need effective systems to handle it because the volumes have increased so much, like never before. So wherever there are no proper systems, naturally individual people will exploit it and make the situation very corrupt, which is what he's talking about. About violence, let me inform you, the world is less violent than ever before. Now we're sitting here in Los Angeles. 1,000 years ago, if we were sitting here, and 1,000 people died in Chennai, is it off? It's gone off? If 1,000 people died in Chennai, we would be sitting here looking at the sunset, looking at the ocean and the bay and think world is absolutely wonderfully peaceful.
Yes.
Now something is happening in Egypt. Still not many people dead, fortunately. A little bit of heat. But now the fires of Cairo are burning in your own house through your television, through your internet. It's burning in your sitting room, it's burning in your bedroom. I don't know if you have a television in your bathroom.
It's burning on my iPhone too.
Huh?
Burning on
burning on your phone, burning into your head. So, it is our ability to communicate which makes it look like all the blood and gore flows into our homes.
Yes.
1,000 years ago, if 1,000 people died in Chennai, we would sit here thinking the world is going perfectly well because the sun is setting, we are looking at the ocean and everything is wonderful. So do not unnecessarily go this way because violence is there, definitely we have to strive to see how this doesn't happen. That is always there. But do not magnify it in your mind because whatever you pay most attention to, that is what will manifest in your life and in the world around you. Everything in the world has been going wonderfully today except a few incidents in Cairo and maybe in a few other places. Sun came up on time, the earth is spinning properly, flowers are blossoming, any number of people are doing wonderful things to each other. A few people do nasty things to each other. Yes, those things have to be handled, but do not pay magnified attention to this because that will fill your consciousness and you will in turn create the same situations in the world. It's very important that we curtail the negative situations on the planet. At the same time, it is very, very important that we fan and nurture the positive situations on the planet. If you pay too much attention to the negative, our children will believe that this is all that's happening in the world. And they will believe that this is the way to live. So world is not all violent, all corrupt. There are many wonderful, peaceful, joyful, loving human beings on the planet, every day doing wonderful, incredible things to themselves and to each other. A few nasty things are happening, or a lot of nasty things are happening, let's say. Yes, we need to fix them. But you are not going to fix that when your mind and your consciousness is full of violence that you saw on the television today. Unfortunately, only negative things are considered news. Only negative things are considered newsworthy. All the wonderful things that human beings do, somewhere we have set up a mode in the society that it's not newsworthy. So it's time that we develop a caliber of journalism on the planet which highlights the positive on the planet. This does not mean glossing over the negative. Yes, we must face the negative, no question about it. We must fix the negative, no question about it. But it's very, very important the positive is nurtured.
I take another question. Hello, Chris. All the car racers should have a highly concentrated mind control to make right decisions very quickly. How do you guys generally develop such capability? Is it by interest or by sadhana towards what you would want to be? Wow. Mind control. Right decisions very quickly. Wow.
Are they talking about? Is he talking about you?
I hope he's not talking about me. I wish I had mind control. No, just kidding. Wow. Let me think about that. Yes, every driver it's very important for a driver to have a high level of concentration. If you can't focus all your attention, as Sadhguru was saying, to one thing, there's no way that you can really excel in that, Not that you have to have mind control or say, oh, I have to do this, I have to do this. It's not that. At least I don't feel it's that. And in my experience, I was always very passionate about going fast and about having such machines on the edge. But I paid attention, close attention, to that line that he was also speaking about, the line that you can't cross. So, again, it's not that I sit there and say, oh, I have to focus on this, I have to focus on this. I know where the importance is. I've been successful to an extent in racing, and it's not because, again, I sit there and tell myself, oh, I must do this, I must do that. It's, I guess it's kind of hard to explain. I know where my focus is. When you're driving a car, especially at speeds, 180, 200 miles per hour, it's very important to keep your eye on the ball. Now, with that said, if you just worry about the ball the whole time, you're not going to worry. You're never even going to get in the ballpark, because, again, the ball is the goal. And if you're just worried about that, there's many things that lead up to that, like many things that have to do with driving. Like if I just sit there and think about, I got to win the race, I got to win the race, I got to win the race, the race will start and I'll smash right into the guy in front of me because I'm just thinking about the win. I'm not thinking about what I have to do at the time. Bottom line is, there's many steps to anything we're doing, whether it's racing a car or teaching a program or baking a cake or anything for that matter. And, again, as Sadhguru was saying, as long as you nurture the right steps to doing whatever it is you're going to do, it's only natural that the result will come. So again, it's not about having mind control or lightning fast reactions. Sure, all those things will help in certain aspects, but again, it's just being able to calm down, take a look around, and really see what it is you're trying to do, and take the right steps just to walk down that path. Not try to jump to the end, but one step at a time, and slowly move down that path. Eventually, if you keep going in the right direction, you're going to get there.
So there are two things, like for example, when you're driving at those speeds, the physical situation in which you are makes your mind naturally focused. That's one way of doing it. But it's very important that if you can do that when the physical situations are not compelling you to do that you can just remain absolutely focused even when you're not driving at 200 miles per hour. Anyway, the planet is moving faster than that, So if you can just sit here, just remain absolutely focused without any physical compulsions around you, you will see the physical compulsions will have no impact on you. So when he says mind control or concentration, yes, it is there. Everybody will get into a very focused state if you physically threaten them in a certain way. That's what the car is doing to you. It's physically threatening your life every moment.
Yes.
So naturally you remain there. Just your survival instincts keep your mind focused. But this one-pointedness of the mind is the essence of yogic process. When you're not physically compelled, you still keep yourself absolutely one-pointed, because if it does not concentrate… See, right now, if you take a magnifying glass, simple sunlight in which everybody is comfortable can burn through your hand if you just focus it. That's what is the power of the mind and consciousness. If you focus it in a certain way, then it just breaks through everything. It burns through just about anything. That's what I said. There is no door in the existence that human consciousness cannot open if it's willing to pay enough attention. So racing or many other sports and other situations like that is… without doing yoga, you're beginning to taste it a little bit because physical situations are compelling you there. So what you are enjoying is a certain yogic moment, being forced by a rattling machine. But I'm saying you can sit here and do it.
I've definitely tasted a small piece of that.
Yes, you have. Good job. I think, what about the time? Okay.
Well, seven spiritual gurus talk of 2012 as a time of human consciousness. Seven spiritual gurus talk of 2012 as a time where human consciousness can really be elevated to the next level on Earth itself, entering into a spiritually conductive environment. Is there any special significance to this period?
I don't attach any importance to numbers because numbers are invented in human mind. The planet Earth does not know it's 2012. It's a human idea. We started counting when we were capable of counting, okay? Planet has been there before that. But definitely 2012 can be a surge of human consciousness because one thing is, I have plans for 2011 and 12 which are big time, which will definitely raise human consciousness. And for the very first time in probably I don't know how many thousand years, or I think it is the very first time, we have managed to get all the gurus in India on one platform. This is going to have impact on human consciousness for sure. People following various different kinds of paths, different kinds of systems, we have put all of them on one platform which we call as Guru Sangamam. It's a confluence of the gurus. So, we have plans, not a prediction. People who are incapable of a plan are always looking for a prediction. Is 2012 going to be the rise of human consciousness? Don't look at it that way. Are we going to make it happen? Tell me, are we going to make it happen?
We have to make
That's
it
all.
happen.
Yourself, anonymous person. Please don't be anonymous, don't remain anonymous in the world. It's time you stand up and see that it happens. Human consciousness must rise because today technologically, in terms of human empowerment, we reached a place where we have the necessary capability, resource and technology to address every human problem on the planet. Like fundamental nourishment, health, education, you name it. Every human issue on the planet, we have the ability to address it. The only thing that's missing is inclusive consciousness. If this one thing we bring about, life can be better than ever before for the human beings on this planet, because never before were human beings empowered the way we are empowered today. Only thing that's missing is consciousness. So now will you wait for a prediction to come true or will you make it happen? I have a plan. Please join the plan.
Let's make it happen.
Let's make it happen. That's good.